Being able to direct your dog to one command that's transferable in many situations is one of the greatest tools that we can use when we're training our dog. That command is known as the place or the climb command. It's telling our dog to go to an elevated position and maintain that position until we release them. I use this command all the time. I place my dogs on a climb before I put their leash and collar on if we're gonna go for a walk. I tell my dog to go to their bed when I'm sitting down for dinner and I don't want them staring at me right next to me. It gives them a designated place to be. I also use this command when I'm on hikes. There was one time I had 6 dogs and there was a group of people coming towards me. I told the dogs climb and they all jumped up on an elevated position, which at that specific situation was a boulder. And people were blown away and it was one simple command. I'm gonna show you exactly how you're going to do this with your own dog, and it's a very simple step-by-step process. Before we get started, I've got something awesome to share with you. I recently discovered the Orthopedic Dog Bed from Ibiyaya, a professional pet product brand that's been around since 2002 and has distributors in over 30 countries. This bed is seriously amazing. It's made with an air fiber cord that's elastic, durable, odor-resistant, easy to clean, and non-absorbent. It provides a restful sleep for dogs who have orthopedic issues, minimizes muscle and joint aches, and even has foam bolster sides that protect the neck and head for a cozier feel. The best part? It's eco-friendly and pet safe, having been certified by agencies for its quality and safety. To sweeten the deal, Ibiyaya is offering a $10 promo code for first-time purchases. Check out the link in the description to learn more about Ibiyaya and their products, including their patented SGS compliant and ISO certified pet strollers, carriers, backpacks, and pet furniture. If you want to give your pup the best possible sleep, then you need to try the Orthopedic Dog Bed from Ibiyaya. Trust me, your dog will thank you for it. Now let's start training. Ibiyaya. So we have Finley. Come here, Finley. And first I'm gonna make sure she wants the food. Now, I've never trained Finley before because I wanted to show you guys what it looks like when you're training a dog from the very beginning. Now, one of the things we also wanna do is we wanna have a marker that predicts a reward. A marker is a word or sound that predicts one of the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. That's your positive and negative reinforcement, positive and negative punishment. In this case, we're gonna use yes as a marker for positive reinforcement. So I'm gonna look at her, I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to give her the treat. Notice there was a half-second pause from when I said the word to when I delivered the reward. What I recommend you doing at home is say the word and make sure your lips are sealed before you move. That's going to help prevent the most common mistake we see across the board, which is pairing your physical with your verbal. This is known as overshadowing. It's scientifically proven. If you say yes as you deliver the reward, the dog will ignore the word, focus only on the movement, and you're basically just going to be giving your dog treats without getting them conditioned to the marker. This is that classical conditioning. So again, Finley, come here, baby. So again, I'm gonna get her to look up at me. Yes. Then the reward. Yes. Then the reward. Great, so we have her focused on us. She's not fully conditioned to the word yet, but that's okay because I'm gonna be able to give her the reward the moment she does the behavior. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get her to do it by luring her. Luring is a very simple concept. We take the food and we guide the dog where we want them to be. The moment they do the behavior, so in this case, yes. So I'm gonna give her a reward for first stepping on it. She's never even been on this bed before. And I'm gonna guide her again. Once she steps, yes. We also have to think about perseverance. Every dog has a different level of perseverance. Some are willing to work very hard for something. Others will give up easily. So if I notice a dog is putting in effort, but they're not doing exactly what I want right away, so in this case, she wasn't completely on the bed, I'm going to reward that effort so she knows that she's going to be able to win. If the dog tries to get the reward, but they're a little hesitant and they don't get the reward, often they'll give up. Okay, so we're gonna go back to guiding her on the bed. I wanna get all 4 paws on. Now, when she's looking at my hand, she's not getting the treat. So she's still a little cautious. Yes, so I'm gonna reward her there. See if I can get her all the way on. Yes. Notice I'm saying yes when she does what I want. So I said yes at first with just a couple, her front 2 paws. Now I'm saying yes with all of them. Now I can also guide her off of the bed. So we can guide them off. This gives us a great opportunity, yes, to teach the off command. Even though we allow our dogs to be on the climb bed, some of you might let your dogs on the sofa or on your own bed, it's also nice to have an off command. So when they do jump up and you don't want them on for whatever reason, you can tell them off. And we can teach that at the same time we're teaching the place command. So I'm gonna guide her off of it again. Yes, and I'm gonna give her a treat. I'm gonna guide her back on. Yes, and give her the reward. Now that we have her following the lure, we can teach the command, but I'm gonna teach her one more little trick that I like to do with each dog that I train. And this is what's known as leash pressure, although I like to call it a leash cue. When we turn pressure on, we're using negative reinforcement. The two most important things that must take place when using negative reinforcement is number one, once the pressure's turned on, it can't be turned off until the dog complies. And number two, the moment the dog complies, the pressure has to instantly be turned off. So I like to teach dogs, if I lift up on the leash, I want them to sit. If I pull down on the leash, I want them to lay down. Or if I pull the leash in any direction, I want them to follow it. So now when we turn this pressure on, what we're doing is we're presenting a problem to the dog that we're training. And instead of waiting for the dog to give me the answer or the solution to the problem, I'm just going to provide it for the dog. Now, the important thing is we have to make sure we present the problem before we present the solution. If we present the solution at the exact same time we present the problem, the dog will only focus on the solution and they're not going to know that it goes with the problem. So let me show you what I mean by that. So first I'm going to hold the treats behind my back so I don't pair. I'm going to apply pressure. Yes, and if she follows it, I'm going to mark and reward. Same thing when I lift up. If I lift up, now I'm going to lure with the food, turn off the pressure, give her reward. Get her to walk forward. Yes. And I'm not asking for a bunch of steps, just one in the beginning. Lift up on the leash, there's the pressure, the problem, there's a solution, turn off the pressure, oops, and give her a piece of food. Again, we're gonna lift, there's the problem, and I'm not pulling hard, just enough for her to feel it. And notice it doesn't turn off until she complies. The moment she complies, we instantly turn it off. This should not, yes, be a stressful exercise. This is a very low stress to no stress if you do it the right way. I'm gonna grab some more treats. Getting very nice progress with her and she's super happy. Golden retrievers are some of my favorite dogs. I love them. Yes, very nice. And they're very smart. Yes, excellent. So here's some pressure downward. So this is gonna be the more difficult one, and now I'm gonna lure her down. Very, very little pressure. Again, just enough that she can feel it. And she's trying to get the food, so I gave her a piece right there. Because remember what I said before, if they don't get it right away, sometimes they'll give up. So I just gave her another piece. And there's another technique that I like to do for dogs that are not laying down right away. And I'm gonna ask her owner to come give me a hand real quick. Can you grab a couple more treats? And then what I'm gonna have her do, this is what I like to call the petting down. What I mean by that is, we're gonna apply a little bit of pressure, but if we just push straight down on a dog, often they'll resist. But if we pet them with a little bit of extra pressure, they're more likely to lay down. So if you don't mind, while I'm trying to get her to lay down, just pet down her back and gradually apply more pressure as you're petting her. No, her whole back, yeah, just pet straight down. Yeah, so like, but don't push like that. Just pet with more pressure each time. As you pet, apply a little bit more. The idea is to get her to relax and to lay down. But if we just straight push, yes, then often they'll resist more. But for some reason, when we do the petting, they're more likely to go with it. Now, what I should have done initially was I should have made sure I could get her to lay down with the food lure. That's step number one before you start to try to do the leash pressure for the down. So she got a couple freebies over there. So now I'm gonna try to get her to lay down just with the food. That's what I should have done first. And she has pretty good perseverance. So you see she's working for it. You want to come do the petting again? Once they know what to do, then that can go away. But again, the petting it's just a technique to get the dog to relax. Now, often you can try to get the dog to sit first. That will often help as well. Yes, very nice. So let me try a couple more. Come here, sweetie. So you can do the sit now. Once they really understand it, I don't like to make them sit each time. It's much better just to have them go straight into the down. But this is a good way to get started. So she's following it very nicely now. Thank you for your help. So now what I can do is I can apply the pressure. Now I can lure her. Yes. And just because our dogs are very good at pattern recognition, your dog will start to realize, oh, you pull on the leash, then you lure me into the position. And again, I'm gonna use that to get her to do it. Come on, baby. Come on, you can do it. Yes, very nice. Now for her, yes means treat plus release. So it's known as a terminal marker. Keep in mind, your words to your dog mean what they predict. We're gonna start introducing the place command. Anytime you're teaching your dog a command, you wanna make sure you can get your dog to do the behavior every single time with the physical cue before you put it on a verbal command. There's no reason to have a dog in front of you and going like this. Place, place, place. The dog doesn't know the word and you can't get them to do it, don't add the command just yet. Once you can get them to do it, then we can add the command. Now, this is what I like to call a reinforcement event. I give her the command, then I pause for half a second, then I enter the reinforcement event. That event is over the moment she does the behavior. So even if your dog doesn't do it right away, as long as you don't become distracted, you can still get the dog to do the behavior. For example, let's say you told your dog place and you go to lure and your dog goes, no, I'm not interested right now. No problem, you grab your dog's leash and you make them do it. That's why we teach the dog to follow the leash, because this is one of the ways we teach our dogs that commands are mandatory. So I'm gonna demonstrate. I'm gonna first use just the food lure. So I'm gonna get her attention. Come here, baby. Say the command first, place, then the lure. Yes. Yes means release plus reward, so she's allowed to get off. Place, then the lure. Yes, then the reward. If she maintains it, I'm gonna start teaching her the off. Yes, very good. Place. Yes, very good. Off. Yes, very nice. Place. Yes. Off. Good girl. Now notice I said good girl there. That's because I ran out of treats. So since I couldn't give her a treat, I didn't want to start weakening the value of the yes. So keep in mind, your markers or all your words mean what they predict. If you have a word or sound that predicts a treat, then you want to make sure you pay your dog. Because if you don't, it'll start to lower the value of the markers. So this is what a lot of people call the charge. So look at a battery. Your battery is 100% fully charged. If every time you say yes, you give your dog the treat. But if you start saying it and you don't reward your dog, the value of it starts to drop. It starts to lose its charge. Now that we have her going on and off the bed, you would continue to do this until you say the command. And before you provide the physical cue, your dog does the behavior. This is another reason why that half-second pause is so important. Meaning I go place, and before I were to move, she was already doing it. Yes. That's going to let you know that your dog knows it on the verbal command. In the beginning, if I have to help the dog with the physical cue, then I pay the dog, because that means the dog is still learning. Now I have a 3-stage process that I like to follow when I start to separate that continual reinforcement to a point where the dog can do multiple behaviors without always having to receive a reward. And that process, I'll explain it very quickly. 1, if I'm still using the physical cue, to get the dog to do the behavior, continual reinforcement. The moment the dog starts to do it on the verbal command alone, I move to stage 2. So then when the dog does it, I either mark and reward, provide verbal praise, or I can use a release word, meaning I can tell the dog place, she goes on the place, and I can say break or release, whatever her release word is. That doesn't guarantee a reward. Then I'll do that for about 2 weeks. Once I've completed 2 weeks of that training, I'll move to stage 3. Stage 3, I either mark and reward, provide verbal praise, use the release word, or I say nothing at all. And I slowly start to fade out the other ones till eventually we can get our dog to do multiple behaviors before they're given the reward. But now I'm going to teach you how we're also going to teach the stay. Now, as I said earlier, a marker is a word or sound that predicts one of the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. I like to use the word wrong as a marker for negative reinforcement. This is how I first start to teach a stay. It's how I teach boundaries. It's how I teach a dog not to jump up on furniture or jump up on people. It's a way to tell our dog, hey, you didn't do exactly how I wanted you to do it, but I'm gonna show you how to do it when I say wrong. So wrong is not a punishment. It's just telling the dog, hey, pay attention, I'm gonna show you what I want you to do. So in this case, when the dog breaks a stay and I say wrong, I take the leash, I guide the dog back onto the stay. So when I'm teaching the dog, since I'm using negative reinforcement, which means encouraging the repeat of the behavior, is when I say wrong, I want you to go back to your bed. Now you could repeat the command. I don't like to do that because if you're training multiple behaviors at one time, your dog might break a position and then you say sit, I mean down, I mean stand, So instead of having to do that, if I always know that I'm gonna say wrong when the dog makes a mistake, it makes it much easier for me. So I'm gonna demonstrate how we're going to do that. And which is really nice, come here baby. Good girl, is that we're using a very nice orthopedic dog bed, which is extra comfortable. So it increases the motivation for the dog to stay on the bed. This is Ibiyaya, and they make really nice orthopedic dog beds. This is great for your older dogs or even dogs that may be more prone to hip issues or elbow conditions. This is really going to help with that. Plus, it's super comfortable. So if you have a dog that you just want to spoil, this is a great option as well. So I'm going to tell her, place. And now I'm going to have her do it with the leash. Good girl. Notice I didn't say wrong. So there's the wrong. Now I'm going to guide her back. Good girl. Verbal praise. The reason why I'm not saying YES is because for her, wrong, that means release plus reward. So I don't want to release her since now we're working on the stay. If I could pick up this piece of food. There we go. Wrong. Notice she steps off. I guide her back on. Very good. Wrong. And this is normal. Your dog's going to step off a bunch of times before you get the behavior. Also notice how I say it before I apply the pressure on the leash. Now, if she's holding the position, good girl, I can give her a treat. Very nice. Now, often, dogs will break the position when we drop the leash for the first time. Good girl. Good girl, very nice. So instead of saying stay a bunch of times, I like to do what's known as the implied stay, meaning we tell the dog to do the behavior and the stay is implied. You don't have to say stay. Very good. And if she holds the position, good girl, I can reward her. Now you don't want to give your dog a treat the moment you place them back after you say your marker that predicts negative reinforcement. The reason why, since it's not a punishment, it's negative reinforcement and encourages the repeat of the behavior, which is going back to the bed when we say wrong. If the dog breaks and we say wrong and we place them back and give them a treat, they're going to go, oh, you want me to break? So so you can put me back so I can get a treat. Excellent. And they're going to break more often because they're offering up what they think that you want. So instead, we have to make sure they hold it for at least 5 seconds before we reward if we use our marker that predicts negative reinforcement. Good girl. So now I'm going to reward her. More distance. Wrong. I'm going to bring her back. Very nice. Excellent. Also pay attention to your leash pressure. If you're guiding your dog back to the bed and the pressure is not turned off when they comply, you're going to create confusion. Very good. Wrong. Good. Nice job. So again, I'm going to wait about 5 seconds. Excellent. Very nice. Now I'm going to pay her, create more distance, and I'm watching her. The moment she breaks, can I get some more treats, please? I will say the one wrong, and I will go back and I will place her back on the bed. If you say wrong and your dog becomes, thank you so much, becomes cautious or nervous, good girl. That means you're doing it wrong. I'm going to walk around a little bit more. Also keep in mind that negative reinforcement doesn't have to be physical. If I say wrong the moment she breaks and I start walking towards her and she goes back onto the bed on her own, that deactivates me. I don't have to actually apply any pressure. Sometimes just our presence is enough to get the dog to go back because they go, oh, I know what's going on. And she's doing really nice. Good girl. So I'm going to come back and reward her. Very good, sweetie. And I'm watching her, so if she breaks, also notice I don't go running back to her in excitement when she breaks. This is what the wrong is for. I say wrong when she steps off. I don't have to get to her in a second. I can walk and take my time as long as I'm consistent. So, and that's up to you now. That's okay because to me, she's still on the bed. So I'm okay with that. In fact, I like them to, oops, wrong. Good girl. So that time I didn't touch her and I threw the treat down on accident. She's doing really nice. It's been over 5 seconds. Now I can reward her. Very good. The more clear, the more consistent you are to your dog, Good, and I'm just walking around, so if you can't see me if I'm walking out of the camera shot, I'm just walking around, I'm just creating more distance, I'm showing the dog different pictures. Anything that you might show your dog if you put them on a place or a climb. This is also the way I like to start any stay command. Now, keep in mind too, when you do teach this, don't do too much of the, you want to get used to being able to just walk away. If you get in the habit of this, then you're gonna have to do that every time. And that looks a little silly, I think. So I'd rather be able to walk away. As long as I can see her, I can reinforce if she's making a mistake. Now, another rule that I like to follow in the very beginning, at least for 2 weeks when you're teaching a stay, if you can't touch your pup, don't free them up. So if I'm not close enough to touch her, I don't want to release her. And the reason why is when we first start teaching something, that becomes the foundation. If I take a brand new dog, I start teaching that dog a stay, and every time I release the dog from 10, 15, 20 feet. Then after enough of those, when I put her in the stay, once I get about 10 feet away, she goes, oh, this is when you release me. And she releases herself. But if the foundation is I have to be close enough to touch her, then when I am far away, she doesn't even think about breaking because she thinks I have to be next to her in order to release her. After doing that for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so, then you can start releasing your dog from any location. It really shouldn't matter at that point, unless it does become a problem. If you start releasing your dog, good girl, you stayed in position. That was excellent. If your dog starts to release after it's been 2 weeks and you started releasing from a distance and you're having issues, then just go back a step. There's nothing wrong with going back a step in the training process to get the results that you want. And this works on any age. So that old myth, you can't teach a dog new tricks, is BS. You can teach an old dog new tricks. The only thing that applies to that is if a dog has been practicing a behavior for a long time, the older they are, the harder it is to break that behavior. But teaching new behaviors is just as easy with an older dog as it is with a younger dog. So this is going to be the process to teach your dog the place command. You can call it whatever you want, climb, place, up. How to teach your dog the off command, as well as start introducing your dog to the stay. The process for teaching a stay is always the same. The only thing that's different is the stay. This is one of the easier stays to teach. A sit stay is a little bit more difficult. A down stay is usually pretty easy for the most part, but it's still a little more difficult than this. We have the heel stay, we have center stay, we have come stay, which is come to us and stay in the position. These are all different stays, and this one is the easiest. So we want to make sure our dogs are successful, because the more successful they are, the better they're going to do in the training process. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, we will see you in the next one.